All right, we are live. We are officially live. So, all right. So, hey everybody. Normally takes a couple seconds for people to hop on the lives, and we'll record this and we'll put it in with the podcast. You guys can listen to the audio here in the next day or so. But what we've got right now, this is REI Courage podcast episode 12 with Patrick Brown and Kristen, PB&K Properties, correct? Hopefully I remember that properly. And I listened, I talked with Patrick and just heard his story and kind of what he's gone through over the past couple years, how he grew up in real estate, and then like what he's done with Kristen, kind of forging their own path and taking monumental leaps with like the courage that, as you saw in their bio, they're getting ready to move from Portland down to Texas, correct? Is that where you guys are heading? Yeah, so I'm gonna hand it over to them. You guys know how this rolls. They're gonna give their backstory, their life, how everything's worked, and what they found in the industry, what they found has worked for them, what they've come up against, and like the courage that they've had to have to own their business their way, and how they're collaborating with other investors. And it's just gonna be a great time. So we've got about a half hour to 60 minutes. These always go quick. So with that being said, I'll hand it over to Patrick Brown and Kristen and go from there. So, and by the way, when comments come up, I'll intersperse them between the conversation and all that. So you've already got Cassie. It's Cassie, right? The host that's come on and said, hey, yeah. So, and that'll be a part of your story as well. I know she's part of that team you're starting to join. So go for it and let's get rolling.
All right, my name is Patrick Brown. We're with PB&K Properties. Basically, we started our journey in wholesaling and investing in around 2019. Got a past history with family members that have been in the real estate industry development business for probably 30 or 40 years. They've done a lot of major developments and so forth, but we wanted to break off on our own and try to forge our way through the industry in a different light, and on our own 2 feet. So that's kind of how it starts. In 2019, we jumped into it. I did everything that probably every regular wholesaler investor getting in this space does. YouTube University, went through all of that and gained the knowledge and understanding through, some of the, better videos, sifting through everything and trying to put the pieces of the puzzle together. And we managed to do we managed to do our first deal.
Oh, that was a nightmare.
Yeah, it was a little nightmare. It was a situation, a probate situation, and there was drug addicts involved and things like that. Yeah. And they always throw an extra monkey wrench into the program.
Man. She thought that we'd give her money to support her drug habit along the way.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, and that, but the good thing that came out of that deal was a great deal for my investor. We
messed up though.
Yeah, I met my first investor, kind of put it on, I think it was Craigslist.
Yes,
yeah, we did a Craigslist ad early on, got it. He was the first one that showed up. We negotiated the deal in the driveway, and we walked through, and it was a done deal. Man, I should have made 20 grand off that. I only made 5, but you live and you learn. The good thing about it, this investor has been buying everything since then from me that I bring to the table. That's really actionable. The numbers make sense. And all that.
Became a very good friend of ours.
Yes, he has. So, you build relationships in this business, and it's really important that you do that with your investors or even the sellers, because, we come at it, like, I'm not looking for, a great house. I'm looking for a problem to solve, and that's the biggest thing. You solve a problem, you'll get to the bag eventually. You know what I'm saying? If you can solve a problem, the money's going to come. So you don't have to really focus on, all of that. I see all types of houses out there, whatever. With that being said, we just kind of forged through and was doing, a deal probably every 45 days, roughly, with our marketing. And we were just trying to figure out how to get through that hump, like all startup businesses in this industry try to do. You want to scale, you want to be doing multiple deals every month. That's what makes it make sense, financial sense and all that. And it wasn't until, you know, months down the road and we were still doing, you know, a deal here and there. We started to do the, you know, I encountered RJ Bates's 50-50-50 challenge where he was doing 50 deals, 50 states in 50 days. An impressive challenge to say the least.
Yeah.
You know, and when I came into it, you know, I was about a third of the way. He'd been doing it for a couple of weeks. And I got on there and he was live every day for 8 hours. I mean, lead generation, using the same platform we're using, you know, and at that point we were just, you know, I'm sending out maybe 500 texts every other day, doing a little driving for dollars and thinking that I'm really doing this business.
Putting up a couple signs here and there,
but not
anything big.
Nothing consistent enough to produce the results that I had in mind to produce. And then when I saw him doing what he was doing on his on you know, the Titanium Vault platform, you know, it really just keyed in. And ironically, you know, at that time he had not gotten a deal in Oregon, and he was just in Oregon like a week prior to that. You know, and I had a couple of old leads. I said, well, you know, let me get on here and, you know, RJ, look, call the seller. You know, and he called the seller. I mean, 5 minutes later, the deal's locked up. You know, I got it to, you know, we get it to the title company. And that's kind of how our relationships, you know, started. You know, it was just as a matter of fact, and it was a nice deal. I mean, we split $22,000, you know, on a split. And, you know, and the next day after we get it locked up, you know, I found the buyer in like maybe 10 minutes, just, you know, using the system, called them up. They were interested and gained another buyer. So, you know, it started to roll then. And then, you know, and ever since that, you know, I have been on the phone with Cassidy Haas probably every day since then, because we have multiple deals. We're in multiple states. You know, from that, we jumped into Cedar Rapids, Iowa, and we managed to get about, I think it was about 7 or 8 deals under contract during that challenge at the same time he was doing it. And that really kind of forged our relationship with that, you know, with those major juggernauts in the industry that are down there in Fort Worth, Texas, you know, and, you know, and it was just a thing that, you know, it really clicked. We all had kind of the same, you know, vision about where we wanted to be. Of course, they were much further along the path than we were, but we knew the path. Yeah, our mindsets were aligned, and we knew where they were at is where we want to go. And I'm not, you know, allowing us to not stay connected with them in a way that we bring value to them, and they obviously bring value to us, because, you know, there's a lot of things that we don't know about this business that they have encountered, they have overcome, and they just, you know, kind of opened their arms up to us.
Yeah. So let's dig into, if I could, let's dig into that how that whole transaction kind of worked. You had RJ is doing this challenge, the 50-50-50. He hadn't gotten one in your state. So you said, hey, let's see if I can help facilitate a deal. And you provided leads that you were working. You said old leads. Does that mean they like were presumed dead and wanted to see what he could do? Dig into that a little bit for me.
Well, it was a lead that had been
a lead of a lead.
Right. It was a lead of a lead. And the lead kind of told me, you know, yeah, I'm trying to clean the house up. She wouldn't even let us come see the house for weeks and weeks. I figured the lead was dead. She was kind of on the moon with price. You know, thought it was worth more than what it was. But we got the lead through batch. We were marketing to
her sister.
Her sister, yes, her sister originally, and her sister cussed me out on the phone. I'm not selling no house. Wait, you know, F you, all that, you know. And fortunately, I was smart enough to pivot and say, okay, I get that, but you know, do you happen to know anybody who might want to, you know, sell a property? And she said, no, and was still kind of just leave me alone. And then at the last, you know, the last text she sent me was, actually, my sister's trying to sell her house. And it kind of, you know, went from there. She gave me the information, and I stayed on top of her, but she wasn't really willing to commit, you know, and willing to even let us see a property. And of course, we looked at it. The property was like right around the corner from where we were at, you know. So, but she didn't want us to come in or any of those things. So,
Right.
you know, at that point, I had kind of left her alone for a couple of weeks. I'm like, it feels like a dead lead, but let me see if, RJ can, revitalize it. Because a couple times I was on the phone with her, she was talking about some things that I wasn't really, aware of as far as, a seller lead is concerned. And RJ was able to overcome.
Yeah. So, and I apologize for talking over you. How was the shift from how RJ approached it versus how you were approaching it that helped you understand how he was able to get it under contract versus how you were working the lead previously? Was there a difference? Was there something he said? Like, was it just, what did you find in that transaction?
I mean, it was just the sheer fact of, experience in the business. He was able to, key in on, the key things that she was talking about as far as price and, what she really wanted to walk away with. See, at that point, I couldn't get what her walkaway number is, and RJ was able to get her walkaway number based off of what she, basically what she was talking about concerning, what she feels the value is, and if she listed it, if she didn't. I wasn't quite able to confidently make that pivot to, run the numbers for her and show her, look, this is where you'd be anyways if you were going to list it, and we're not that far apart, so look, why don't we just give you this? And he was able to say, and he pressed her. He pressed her and said, look, so if we gave you, 325 or 330,000, that would work for you, and and it would take care of, exactly what Cassie said right there. He cuts through the BS.
Yeah, as Cassie helped us out with, he cuts through the BS, and yeah. That you're touching on a point that is very, very huge with, investors. And we kind of talk about that, and you're shifting into that, obviously, this business is so much, not just like the rapport, but it's also the confidence you have in helping people. And you get that through experience. You get that through, as you guys experience, kind of a mentor, not a mentor, but like showing from somebody that's had experience. And it's not a matter of just even not having the knowledge, it's just having confidence in that knowledge almost. Right. Is that kind of what I'm hearing?
Yeah, absolutely. And, as far as me on the phone or dealing with sellers, I have a sales background. So,
right.
I got the confidence, but it's just having some other keys to the puzzle that you just weren't aware of in the moment to be able to use that to make the pivot to the seller that you need to make them understand what the logical way is forward, in solving their problem.
I think what got the lady to be more interested is when RJ said, look, we pay all closing costs. We, because we can go, we take care of everything.
Yeah.
And that's when she was like, oh, really? You mean I don't have to pay nothing?
Right.
So, and he explained to her, look, even if you went and put this house on the market and had a real estate, agent help you, you're paying more for that real estate agent, and you're just going to be making the same amount as if you're just going through us. So
that's right.
Yeah,
that's right. Absolutely.
It's all that reassociation. So yeah, that's awesome. So you guys got these deals. You went and you said you went to Des Moines, Iowa, and you managed to generate, or you ended up generating, you said 8 leads in how long a time?
Like a week.
Probably I think it was like a week. We were really kind of gung ho.
Nice.
Gung ho and Cedar Rapids. Ironically, when we entered Cedar Rapids, Iowa, it was a time of, and this is about knowing your markets. At the time that we were in there, and I don't think we knew. I'm not sure if Cassie knew or RJ knew at the time that the derecho storm had just happened. So. And a lot of people don't even know about. I never heard of a derecho. Okay?
We actually looked it up online to see what it was.
Right. So we were, we were kind of wondering as we were going along this path. Man, we're getting deals down, lots of deals down here. But there's a reason behind that, and that's where it comes in. That you really got to start knowing your markets, that virtual markets that you're going into. You got to really kind of do some research on them because not every market is the same. So because of that derecho storm, there was a lot of damage to most neighborhoods in Cedar Rapids and Waterloo and all those areas. And then, this is kind of a reason for, people down there to say, you know what, let's make this move, sell this house, too much damage. We're getting insurance money, all of those situations were happening.
So what is it, just for my education, what is a direct shield storm?
A derecho storm is like, it's kind of like a hurricane. You know, I mean, so it's a storm that is kind of a freak accident storm system that comes in. Look, I mean, starts out slow like a tornado, and it would absolutely just blanket the area with ungodly amounts of rain, wind, trees getting knocked down, just like land hurricane. Yes, it's similar to a land hurricane. Yeah, it's absolutely crazy.
Yeah, as we can see, Cassie has your back. So, yeah, well, we appreciate that, Cassie. We'll keep an eye on you the whole time over the next 40 minutes. So, yeah. So you guys got 8. Have you guys closed those? How has your timeline looked on those? Did it go well? What?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks to Cassie and her ability to make inroads all across the United States with various different, tactics that she uses. But, it's just, we were able to close those deals. I think we did like 6 of them. 2 of them we had to drop the contracts because, we just weren't in the right, price range with the sellers and they weren't willing to budge. So, that's part of it. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to close every deal that you get under contract. There's people out there that think that, I got it under contract, you don't. That's not a guarantee. Okay.
For virtual though, 6 out of 8 is a good closing rate.
It's not bad. It's not bad.
Yeah.
I mean, we did close on all those. We do have one still that we're still working out. Like we got judgment issues the seller has, and we're trying to get those forgiven to try to get that thing, to our buyers down there. But we got one left down there. And we have several other deals in the pipeline. We got a 14 deal Waterloo deal that we've been working on, pretty adamant over the last couple of weeks. So either we'll get them all or we'll get them one at a time, whatever it is. But we're gonna make it.
Yeah, Yatsen said, wow, as far as like your ability to get those deals that quickly, it makes sense with the land hurricane, as Cassie said. And she said, your guy that, they only needed $8 billion more on the rehab than the seller said, which can happen virtual or just even in regular lead generation. That's why we have agreements and that's why we take stuff for title companies, right? So right. Yeah, I wanna dig into a little bit. You guys, REI Courage is all about the courage to really follow your own path and kind of do what works for you, your business, not really shoehorn anything into it. But just as an example for like the courage isn't a matter. A lot of people say, well, people are fearless. And for me and the people I always talk to, that's not even really possible. Fear is always going to be around. It's one of the most like cellular, visceral emotions that have ever been around. So we grow up with the fear of falling and the fear of loud noises, and we learn all the other ones. But you guys are literally taking and uprooting from Portland or Oregon to moving to Texas. So tell me a little bit, like, and when I talked to you, Patrick, it wasn't like there was any real like, hesitation. It was just, hey, we're going to do this. So can you dig into a little bit how that decision was made and Yasin asked a question that we'll get into too as well after this, but how that decision was made, and was there any like hesitation or like decision, and how you and Kristen went through that, and just dig into that a little bit for us.
Okay, so kind of that. I mean, yes, we are definitely taking our talents down to the DFW with Titanium Investments here in the next coming weeks. Whenever we can work the logistics out. So that's really an exciting thing. How it came about is it wasn't anything that was calculated.
I mean, question it.
It wasn't even a question. I mean, I have been, working with Cassie and RJ for months now. It's probably been almost 6 or 7 months now, seems like, at least. And we've been, taking down deals, analyzing deals, and really, and really getting on point about our business. And, it was just something that kind of happened, I always say, organically. We always kind of talked about, Cassie and I would be on the phone talking about this, and I always kind of threw it out there. Look, I'm going to be the West Coast, extension to Titanium Investments. That was, it was kind of in joking, but, I mean,
his goal he did his goals for the year.
Oh, yeah.
And one of his main goals was to collaborate our business with Titanium.
Right.
And it wasn't but a week later that all of a sudden we were asked if we would like to join Titanium.
Right, right. Well, I mean, it's more like, Cassie and RJ have a phenomenal business.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, hands down, they are probably, hands down, I would say they are the best in the industry, and they do it in a different way than a lot of other people out there doing it. And it may, people may like it, they may not like it, but it works,
Yeah.
and it works because they build relationships, and that's what this business is about, and pretty much, for them, they were looking for another piece of the puzzle that they needed, and, and it just kind of made sense. I see you, Cassie. Yeah, it just kind of made sense because, their vision is so beyond what people even know or can see. And we understood that vision just organically as we talk, as we do business, as we collaborate, and we made that relationship, that connection, that friendship. And it just seemed like a no-brainer, and when Cassie finally had that conversation, with RJ, they called me, and we had just talked, and, I didn't think nothing about it. I was like, oh, hopefully we can get down there or whatever. And they called me early in the morning. I was just getting up, and they both on the phone. It's like, RJ's like, well, let's make it happen. What do we got to do?
Let's get it done.
Because, and we still had the conversation that, RJ and I say, it's really important that people, be able to put their egos to the side because, we're coming together. And the good thing about it is, for me, that's not a problem because, the benefits that we're both getting from it are going to be phenomenal. I feel like we're getting more out of it than what they're getting out of it. But I do know what I bring to the table. There's several things of the piece of the puzzle that you need to really, scale to that next level. And there's certain type of people that you need in your business to be able to, really make that happen consistently and without fail,
Yeah. Yeah. And that, go ahead.
No, and as far as that decision, to me, I had already said early on that, if an opportunity like this comes on the table, there is no questioning it. We would be fools to not, jump in the boat, of what they're doing. I mean, what better way to learn the way than right next to the way? Okay, so. Yeah. I mean, to me, it's a no-brainer. Uprooting and going there. I mean, it's worth it. I'm all about their vision. I'm all about what Titanium Invested stands for. I mean, wholeheartedly, 1,000%. And hey, I mean, if we had a teleportation, I would be there right now.
Yeah.
Nice. There you go. All right. So Yasin, he's got a question. I'll ask you guys, and then you guys can answer. We'll go into, I've got some questions about the neurolinguistic stuff you and I talked about, Patrick, and then, but he asked, do you have a team that deals with judgments, or do you take care of that personally?
Well, I mean, I had kind of have an inside, scoop on that because I used to be a judgment recovery specialist. I had a little business that did that. So I would go out, kind of similar to real estate. I mean, I would go out and find people that had judgments that hadn't been collected on for like 10, 15 years because 83% of judgments around the country never get collected on. So, I mean, and so with that, I knew that, yeah, I know it's crazy. And I knew that, this guy has judgments. There's a chance that, we can get him forgiven, talk to the simple conversation with the city or county or the code enforcers of mostly any state, So the code enforcer currently on this deal is working on that. He wants to get it forgiven because he's telling his superiors, this is what makes sense. They just have to find a legal, realistic way that it can get done, and it will happen. If you just have conversations with people that you think are going to be totally against you. I mean, when you hear, the code enforcer for, you think, look, these guys are really flexible. They want solutions brought to their table, just like you're trying to bring a solution to any situation you got concerning a property.
Yeah. And that's always the approach, working at the title company for years, like being able to track down the information of these people. It's a skill set, and then be able to present it in a way for me, and it sounds like kind of how you approached it, of like, look, I need your help to get this done. So to help you get any money, not just like you said, 83% isn't being collected. I didn't know it was that high. I knew it was high, but like, and that's the conversation I always have. Help me make you any money versus like, don't put up a roadblock so that you don't get any money ever. Like, make it a partnership, like you said, collaborate, relationships, all of that. So he said that's gold information. So yeah, man. And so I wanted to talk to you a little bit more, Patrick, as part of this. When we got on the phone initially, we had started talking about like neurolinguistics. I think that's one of the things that you had commented about, like a poster or one. Say that again.
Jumping down the rabbit hole.
yeah, that's what we had the conversation about, jumping down the rabbit hole. But it's one of the things I know Bryson and I talked about it. We put that book out there, and I think that's what started our conversation down it. But talk to Yasin and Cassie and, you know, the other couple people watching and the people watching on replay about what that means to you and why it's so important, because it came across as a pretty good theme in our initial conversation.
So, I mean, you know, it really comes down to, you know, mindset. You know, when you're entering, you know, any business or anything that you want to do, you have to have the mindset to do that. Well, you know, a lot of people don't answer the questions. Well, if I don't have the mindset, how do I attain that? How do I train for that? You know, so one of the key things that's part of that is neuro-linguistic programming, or neuro-associative conditioning, as Tony Robbins coined way back in 80, whatever.
Yeah. Way back.
But I mean, it's basically, you know, it's training your mind in a different way that you're not used to thinking. So it comes down to, you know, digging deep into your subconscious, because look, people don't understand. Look, our subconscious mind listens to everything that's going on, you know, and what you're putting in it matters, because what you put in it is going to be indicative of what type of, you know, actions you're going to take moving forward in the weeks to come. You know, there's a lot of people think that, you know, it's, you know, it feels like it doesn't work, or how can that really? No, listen, whether you know it or not, whether you're focusing on it or not, you are putting things on your belief windows, on your, you know, in your subconscious mind, and that's having an effect on you every day, whether it's procrastination or putting things in your own way to not be successful in your business, or making excuses. Look, if you're making an excuse, that's something that you program your mind to do over a period of time. You just don't know it because you haven't analyzed it. You got to sit back and take a look at it, and look at, you know, the things that make you tick. That stuff matters. You know, it really does. And to do that, you know, really, you know, way, Josh, you know, I mean, affirmations, all of these things, and undoing the, you know, the damage you've done in the past of the stuff you've already put on your belief windows, and, you know, of how you see the world and how you approach people and all that. Listen, it all starts with you programming your subconscious mind.
I am proof of that, because I know nothing about real estate. I knew nothing about it. I was depressed. I was going through issues. Mentally, I was not, you know, capable to do a lot. And I had to learn how to change my subconscious mind, how to change my mindset. And I went from, you know, actually nothing to a whole lot of something just by my mindset.
Yeah.
And he helped me so much with trying to realize that I was capable of so much more than what I allowed myself to be.
Right. You know, I tell people, you know, people who have, you know, when you look at people who have like emotional problems or any problem in your life, you know, they don't understand the problem's there, but how you deal with it and how you allow it to become part of your life or affect your business or your relationship or any of those things is because of the way that you're looking at it. But you can't look at it in a different way until you program your mind to look at things outside of the box. Yeah. And it takes time. You know, it really takes time. I mean, I'm sure you have something to add to that,
Josh. Yeah, and that's the thing. What I tell my clients and what I've experienced is, you know, we spent, especially if you have a mindset of something is happening to me instead of I created everything I'm experiencing, That's the first shift that needs to happen. But if we've spent, for me, as just my example, Kristen, you just gave yours, but for me, I didn't realize until I shifted that I spent 33 years of my life unconsciously experiencing the programming that I had grown up learning, right? And so then at that point that you realize, oh man, like I created all this. Then when you start unprogramming that and you replace it with other programming, like it starts happening quicker. But normally people have learned how to beat themselves up well enough to keep them where they're at. That's also has to be part of the process. It's not just reprogramming, it's reparenting, it's creating new habits through experiences. It's like people want to say, hey, and this is in our industry, this is in just any type of growth. It doesn't happen overnight, but you have to give yourself compassion in the space. You had mentioned it. What I wrote down is when you have a emotional reaction, you have to be able to learn how to shift that to a response where you have to take a second to like grow, and you have to take a second to actually make a choice to respond differently. And it's a skill set. And yeah, while and this is kind of the thought and the theme that I've had over the past week is, the person like I wanted to be that I wasn't 5 or 6, 7 years ago, like you grow into that person. Like you hold that vision long enough of I wanted that. And I used to think that because I didn't have it, everything around me needed to change. And then really what needed to happen is I just needed to be the person that actually had all of that or felt that way by growing into that and having the emotional security, the emotional, maturity, the intelligence, all of that. So yeah, you guys, you're talking about it. It's shifting that belief system, and it's not a matter of a step-by-step process. It can at times be very, client used the other day, he said very sticky, very,
very in the weeds, so to speak. And a lot, there's a lot of people that don't realize that, most people are at the precipice of making a major change in their life.
Yep.
And, and even they may not even know how to do that, but if they just sit and analyze themselves and look at, what's happened over the past weeks or the months or years and understand, or it could just be one step of something that they've been hesitant to take and making just, an incremental step towards that goal or that situation can change your life forever.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's it. It doesn't have to be huge. It doesn't have to be I mean, in your example, picking up and moving to Texas, it doesn't have to be that big, but that decision and that movement wasn't an overnight thing. Like you said, it's been months coming. It's been like, I'm getting ready to do some rebranding, and I've joined a company as well. And I started talking to him back in October. Like it's going on 4.5 months, and it's slow, but when you're having fun and you've shifted into one of the big ones for me is believing you deserve it because you are worthy of it. And like knowing it's not going to leave. Like you're not going to do something to ruin it because you're not that person anymore.
Right. And I tell people all the time, and that's a big point that you bring up. You got to believe in what you're doing, because if you're pushing forward in the industry or any business and you don't really believe that you belong there or that you're good enough to be there, in the back of your head, you might still be doing business or whatever, but if you don't believe that wholeheartedly, 1,000%, the universe is not going to make that next shift that you're seeking to get to. It's just not going to. You'll still get some successes, you'll still get some things along the way, but to really make that paradigm shift, you really gotta jump out of the box, and really believe and make every step, every day, every action that you take in that belief that you say you have.
Well, stop being around all that negative.
Right.
So many people want to stay around negative mindset people, and that's like a disease.
It's poison.
It is.
Poison.
If you hang around with people who only have nothing, only have negative to talk about or say, or are always unhappy and feel angry, that's like attracts to other people. So you got to be more around the positive mindset people that even really rise and be positive.
Right. I always say, I mean, this is an old saying. I'm sure a lot of people heard it, but you know,
Negative mind.
right. A negative mind sees all the ways it can't be done.
Yeah.
A positive mind sees all the ways it can be done.
Yeah.
And that's so true. You'll see if you think in a positive way about a situation. Look, the universe, your subconscious will bring a solution. It may not be the best solution, but it will produce what that solution can be. If you're in a negative mind space, you can't even begin to even find that solution because it won't present itself.
Yeah, completely. And that's it. And that's why a lot of times you'll have a solution that pops up. This is how your subconscious mind works. Yeah. A lot of times it doesn't happen when you're consciously thinking about it. It will pop up for me a lot of times. And this is where you hear the things like shower thoughts, like when your mind, when you're not focusing and consciously putting energy into it, your subconscious is working at all times in the background. So it's going to pop something that it was like, oh, I didn't even think about that. That's how that works. It will pop it into Yep. When you're ready. Yeah. And you may not think you're ready, but that's where the courage aspect comes into play. That's where like it's getting you out of that old comfort zone by bringing you up against that fear. That fear, and when I wrote that in ebook, the fear, a lot of the reasons we get stuck is because we just misunderstand fear. It's a matter of like, I see it and then we run from it or we fight it, not acknowledging it as far as, oh, like that's my next goal. That's my next, that's what that cliche is. You know, your next goal, your next expansion is on the other side of fear. It's because that fear is just trying to keep you safe. That's all it's doing.
Right. And it's like, you know, I mean, there's another, you know, and you got to, fear is something that we manifest that. We manifest that in a situation that it's an unknown situation. So, you know, I still always say fear, the acronym, I know you've heard it, is fantasized experiences appearing real.
Yeah.
You know, they're real in your mind, but really there's a solution to that situation. You just got to have the courage to move through it, flow through it, grow from it, and prosper in the end and teach others along the way if you can.
Well, I think that if you're in your comfort zone, you're doing something wrong.
Right.
You know, you have got to go further because if you're comfortable where you're at, you're not going nowhere.
Yeah.
You got to take that chance.
And that's the thing too, like you'll experience is, you know, in doing something new, like you guys going into Cedar Rapids and doing this and like going virtual and feeling overwhelmed is not bad. It is a sign of growth. It is a sign of I am taking in a new experience and learning and growing through it. And so when you're merging, and that was we talked real quick, and I don't want to lose this point. We talked real quick about self-worth. And I don't know if you caught it, but I caught it when we were talking about your move down with Cassie and RJ down to, Cassie says no comfort zone. And that's you talked about when we were talking about self-worth, you immediately said, I know the value I bring to the table.
Right.
And that's it. That's a big thing too, is knowing I'm not supposed to know everything, but I know my value and what I can provide that value as a win. And I'm going to receive a win on the other side of the table as a win. And we're going to create something that is bigger than both of us by combining that, as opposed to, when you get into that environment where you don't feel you're good enough and you feel like you're an imposter, even if you make it into that environment, you're going to do something to sabotage because you're always going to be looking over your shoulder that I don't belong here and someone's going to find me out. So that was a big point. Like, and I wanted to acknowledge that because that was one of the first things you said about that move is I know, and Cassie, you know as well. Because
Thank you,
if you know your value, like you're always going to be okay. You're always going to be providing that value and impacting and always growing, right? So it's huge. Self-worth is huge. Self-acceptance is huge. Self-grace for me is huge. But it's all part of that growing process. So I want to ask, we're right at, like I said, 40 minutes is come and gone.
Just like that.
Just like that. I want to ask a question I always ask, and it always, I think, helps just not even investors in general, but, new people as well, because part of this process for me was to helping people understand in their business what they are feeling is normal, and not normal as in like it's something that is you're not supposed to experience. As far as like entrepreneurship is a myriad of every emotions. I always say having kids, having a significant other, and having a business are the three things that will make you grow the most by facing every insecurity, every inadequacy you feel, and bringing it to the surface. So what I always ask are, what have you found in this process that is easier than you expected? And what is more difficult? What has been more difficult than you expected in this process for you guys in starting and running your own business and starting to head down to Texas? So what has been easier and than you expected, and what has been more difficult than you expected?
What's easier is, really learning, the knowledge, that kind of stuff is kind of easier for me, to really take in, because I'm kind of, an analytic, a logic thinker a little bit,
I got
that. Like that. Right? What's harder in this industry, which is part of this industry now, is really just kind of putting ourselves out there, like we're doing today, just getting our faces out there and letting people know that, we're really in this space, and not having a problem about what people think. I don't care what they think, because I would think I was telling Cassie last night that, in my opinion, it could be the best person in the industry. Their fastest is my slowest. And so it doesn't matter. We're gonna shine wherever we go, whether there's people in this space that want us there or not. That doesn't matter. We're here, and we're here to stay.
Nice. All right. And Kristen, how about you?
Oh, I'm still, I've been having a hard time trying, because he's always telling me, you go on YouTube.
Video.
Learn everything on YouTube.
You gotta learn how I learn.
I'm a hands-on type learner. I like to be taught hands-on. So that's my biggest issue with learning everything. So I pretty much have learned everything by watching him. I take a lot. I watch daily on everything that he does. That has helped me to understand what I can do and how I can achieve my goals. And I'm still learning, every day. And it's got a lot more to go. And
she's doing great. Hands down.
And you guys have a good energy, counterbalance each other. You seem like you're a good team. What's been easier for you, Kristen?
What's been easier for me? I don't know. What do you think has been easiest for me?
The question's to you.
I don't know. It's all.
Go ahead.
I don't know. It's all been pretty simple, I guess. I haven't had any problems, and we have an amazing relationship together. We're amazing business partners, so it hasn't been much of a struggle.
Hey, easy enough. All right, and that interaction feels exactly like me and my wife's interaction. Like I don't know, honey. What should I answer? Oh, and Cassie says, "Oh, sister, you'll get on that fast track plan when you come home."
Oh, I already know.
Right.
I can't wait to work with Cassie, because I know
she is ready. She is ready for you.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That's awesome. All right, and so with that, I've got one last question, and it's normally the biggie. What is the one piece of advice that you would give to anyone in this industry, new, old hat, like veteran? What piece of advice would you give out there to people? And I want one from you, and then Kristen, I want your answer. So he's gonna have his own.
The piece of advice I give to anybody newer in the industry, wherever you're having problems, listen, the answer's out there, and usually that answer is in other people, but you got to be willing to really, find somebody that's in that space that you're in, wherever you're at in your business. And just reach out to them. Look, there's no such thing as a stupid question except the one you don't ask. You might have the answer sitting right next to you, but your ego and pride won't allow you to ask them, because everybody's looking to you for all of the answers because you're the head or whatever it is, And as far, and if it's a new person in the space, I mean, as far as, trying to break into this business and get some traction look, and getting caught up with all of, the mentorships and, the softwares and all that. Look, I've walked down that path too. Listen, I can only say that if you're not generating leads, find one lead generating thing, be it SMS, cold calling, whatever, and try to become an expert at one. You don't have to do them all. Just choose one and make it work. Make it produce for you. If you're new in space, don't be getting, I'm going to drive for dollars. I'm going to RBMs. I'm going to SMS. No. Look, get consistent at one thing first, and educate yourself where you don't have education. And if that doesn't necessarily mean getting mentorships. Look, just go to YouTube University. Everything you can possibly think of in this industry or space is there. If you're diligent enough to look for it, research it, take it in, and use it.
Yeah. So a quick recap. What I just heard from you is wherever you're at,
it's a whole lot.
Yeah. Wherever you actually gave 2 giant nuggets there. So I'm gonna hammer them out real quick for you. Wherever you're having problems, the answer is normally in other people, and that doesn't mean mentorship. That means it could be mentorship, partnership, collaboration. And you said YouTube, which is like, I wrote that down because I love that answer. And then the second one was find one lead generation source and master it before trying like 1,000 different ones, right? That hit? Does that sound accurate on both of those?
That's it.
I love that. I wrote both of those down. Okay. Now, Kristen, it's on you. What do you got? No pressure, by the way, Kristen. I know we were talking about that. Like,
a poverty mindset will stay in a poverty lifestyle, but a successful mindset will rise to become successful with that right frame of mind. So you need to get out of that poverty mindset. You need to change that. But take constructive criticism. Look up to the other people that are doing better than you, and don't hate on them for it, but look at them as motivation and let them help teach you to be where you want to be.
Oh, I love that so much as well. Thank you, Kristen, for that. Yeah, if you are hating on people that are more successful than you, you're going to keep yourself from getting there. Like, it's hard to want something that someone else has and then hate them for having it.
Right.
Like,
a lot of people out there doing that.
Yeah.
Josh. And they're out there like, it's almost like there's a few more of them than
so we're out here trying to teach people to become better at what we're doing. We worked hard to be where we're at right now, and we're willing to help others become where we're at now. And if you can't, accept that the constructive criticism that we give you to become to our level and watch us rise as you rise with us, there's no point. There's just if you're not teachable, then there's nothing we can do to help you.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Very true. Very true. That's I've experienced that, and you guys have too. It's a matter of, going through this process and getting to a point where you can start giving back to the people that are coming up that where we were once, and we're heading, it's all a process. I equate it, I'm sure you've heard the analogy of the popcorn. Everybody, like, when you make popcorn, not all the kernels pop at the same time. So, like, it's a journey. The kernel has its own journey. Some pop at like 30 seconds. Some pop at a minute 45. It doesn't mean either one is bad. It's just a matter of you're going to saute a little differently. So, that is. Cassie says, "Don't be salty."
Never salty.
Yeah. So
we're trying to get your level, Cassie.
Yeah, and that's it too. It's find people that are like-minded, like Cassie and RJ. I've watched their stuff. Like, I know they're on fire, and they're amazing. And not everybody's going to be a fit for everybody else, and that's okay. And that's part of the journey, as well as finding out where your lane and how you operate and who you're meant to operate with. It's a journey. And having gratitude and appreciation for me, and we've talked about that as well. You guys are experiencing it is huge. So, And the more you can have of that, the more you'll get. So
that's right.
Yeah. So I appreciate it, guys. We're right at, like I said, 50 minutes come and goes, just like a snap of the fingers. Hope you guys,
just getting started. Wait a minute.
Getting started. So
Yeah.
if there's anything, do you guys have anything else before we wrap it up and kind of sign off? Is there any other pieces of nuggets and knowledge you want to drop for the people that will watch this and review and are on?
I just want people to know to stay consistent. Stay consistent in what you're doing. Don't give up because you failed a couple times. Failure that gives up is going to stay failing.
Right.
Successful people will rise even no matter how many times they fall. So never give up. Stay consistent at what you're doing.
Yep.
I could not have said it better myself. Yeah, just, look, we're out here. If anybody needs any help, they can reach out to us. We're very accessible. And
Facebook, Instagram,
we're on all those, and would love to help anybody that has any questions about the industry or the business or wherever you're at in your market and your business. Look, I'm a phone call, text, email away, and and I just I appreciate Cassie and RJ and Titanium Investments and all of that whole team for opening their arms up to us, and we're coming down there.
Texas, here we come.
Yeah, Texas, here we come.
Yeah. When you guys get down there, I want to have like a whole crew on the podcast. Cassie, I know you're on here watching, so I'm putting that out for you guys. So
hold her to it.
Yeah, and Yasser said he's definitely following you guys in your journey. So that's it. So I appreciate you guys coming on. Hopefully it wasn't too I made it easy for you guys to put yourself out there and kind of, get that exposure first off. So I appreciate you guys coming on and giving some value and sharing your story. And, I look forward to, staying in touch and hearing the updates and having you guys back on when you get down there. And so, yeah, man, let's have a good rest of the weekend. I appreciate everybody coming on. Share your love, share your comments. Patrick and Kristen, they're great. Like he said, available, any type of help. We're willing to help those that are willing to be coachable and willing to help themselves. So if you guys have any questions or need anything, comment, like it, share it. We appreciate you all, and we'll sign off here. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Josh. I appreciate your time.
Yeah. Love you guys. I'll talk to you soon.
Love you too. All right.